Okay, so we are now live. Going to be doing the game engine, continuing with the game engine. Let's turn on the controller. And before we do that, as we're going to do at the start of these streams, at least for the foreseeable future, is read a couple of pages, or what I like to call a page turn. At least one page turn, so equivalent 2 pages, of the Game Engine Architecture book, 3rd edition, by Jason Gregory. Okay, let me whack on this. I'll whack on the Amazon for the simple reason it's a little brighter, so it's easier on the eyes. Okay, so section 4.7, problems with lock-based concurrency. In section 4.5.3.2, we learned that data races can lead to incorrect program behavior in a concurrent system. We saw that the solution to this problem is to make operations on shared data objects atomic. One way to achieve atomicity is to wrap these operations in locks, which are often implemented using operating system provided thread synchronization primitives such as mutexes. However, atomicity is only part of the concurrency story. There are other problems that can plague a concurrent system even when all shared data operations have been carefully protected by locks. In the following sections, we'll briefly explore the most common of these problems. And 4.7.1 is deadlock. Deadlock is a situation which no thread in the system can make progress, resulting in a hang. We don't want that. When a deadlock occurs, all threads are in their blocked state, waiting on some resource to become available. But because no threads are runnable, none of these resources can ever become available, so the entire program hangs. For a deadlock to occur, we need at least 2 threads and 2 resources. For example, thread 1 holds resource A, but is waiting for resource B, and at the same time, thread 2 holds resource B, but is waiting for resource A. So it's like a catch-22 situation here. This situation is illustrated by the following code snippet. Pretty simple code, to be fair. Okay, other more complex kinds of deadlock can occur. Can of course occur as well, involving more threads and more resources, but the key factor that defines any deadlock situation is a circular dependency between threads and their resources. Figure 4.3.4, left, dark arrows show resources currently held by threads. Light dashed arrows show threads waiting on resources to become available. Right, we can eliminate the resources and simply draw the dependencies. Light dashed arrows between the threads a cycle in such a thread dependency graph indicates a deadlock. Okay, so that's all good stuff. I am going to put this away now. Did a page turn, a couple of pages essentially. Obviously a bunch of it was code, so I just skipped over that. I had to look at it myself. But by doing this, a couple of pages a day when we're doing the streams, we'll get through it. So let me invite a couple of people over to the stream. Okie dokie, so we'll walk the YouTube chat on here. Her Dingens has joined the stream. I just saw it right here. Welcome, Mr. Dingens. Mr. Dingens are from the Germanies. So let me fix this problem that I was having. Nick and Chav yesterday suggested something. Let's just put gesture. What should I name this? Don't know. Think classic Oracle gesture. We're going to call this struct gesture pattern. I think that's a decent enough name. So if I in here put gesture pattern left clockwise up like so, and let's see what we get now if we build it, see if that fixes the errors. And happy birthday, thank you Herdingens. Still going to be doing these live streams, birthday or no birthday, can't not do them. Still really build, so let's just see if it still works. Okay, that still works. So remember Herdingens was saying what we should do. He did give me a solution on Discord. He obviously is on the private chat. Ooh, this is pretty interesting. Somebody messaged me something. Okay, so let's go into the Discord chat. Again, I'm not going to put it on there because it was a private chat. But he did, Herdingen did give me some code to take a look at. So what was we doing? For using steps. Let's have a look at this. Struct. Okay, Herdingens. I can't actually see any of the chat at the moment. So you know what? I've got a laptop there. I'll whack one of the laptops here. I'll get some use out of them. And I'll grab the MacBook M1 just because of how small it is. I'll whack that here so I can see the chat, and I don't. And my phone doesn't have to be on the chat, and it's right in front of me. But it's not, ruining the screen. Not ruining it, but ruining the view. What you guys are seeing. Hey, that was just an idea how I would implement it. Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna just have a quick, look at it. I'm gonna call it jest, just because I've already got a gesture class. Don't like the Egyptian brace style. I will stay away from that. That is one thing I will stay away from. I know I haven't created a gesture step struct, which I'm gonna have a look at doing now. Where was your gesture step struct? Where was it? There it is. Struct gesture step, and in here you put std : pair float x min max. I can just copy and paste this. Y min max float time to finish equals 0. Yeah, so finish. So you were saying if we have gesture, I want to call it pat. It won't be pattern yet. It may become a pattern. Let me comment this out. Let me call this gesture pattern. Oh, I need to change that. I'm on the top chat, not the live chat. Well, in all fairness, that didn't change anything. The top chat is only 3 people anyway, and so is the live. So if we have gesture, no, we're gonna have that, but instead of this, we was gonna have gesture, no, left clockwise up. Should I leave? There's a bunch of underscores and whatnot I need to add, but I'll sort them out after. The left clockwise up. Dot steps dot pushback. Should do a pushback, and we're gonna say oh no, don't want to do that. Don't need that indented, that's a bit stupid. Okay, so the values weren't 100, they were -50. There was no so what were they? So they weren't, there's no minimum for X and Y, but the X, so it's going to be -50, then it's going to be -20, 20, and let me separate these a bit so I can easily see these. This stream will not be long, be about an hour or so. Okay, so so the time to finish was 0.1 F. Wasn't it like that pushback? Is it because I need to put a minus like that? See, X doesn't have a max though. Unless I do a check inside of there which just states see what you mean, just put the same one. Okay, we could put that. See how that could work. So that's one step done. We gotta do the second. What's happened to the bloody? Okay, so this is step 2. How is this considered formatted? Let's see if I go to edit, advanced format document. Nah, mate, I don't like it like that. This is all right now. Okay, so we're gonna have what's the next ones now? So we're gonna have -90. And -20. No, sorry, -90, -90, -2020. So that does not change. That does not change. Good stuff. Depending on doing it, fixes that. So we got -45, -45, -45, -45, and then we're gonna do the. I might need to put a reset thing here as well. I can put that there in a second. Okay, so -10. Okay, so we got a little problem here. That needs to be a negative, negative, negative. That's -2020, -90. Yes, we're all good for that. Now what we're gonna do? Okay, so what we're gonna do now is the reset. Yeah, see that reset is. How do we set the reset? How do we factor in the reset in? Technically, it's not part of the gesture step. It's part of the gesture pattern. I'm gonna assume the gesture reset is always the same. So std : pair float reset xy left clockwise dot up dot reset dot -10. It ain't -10 for the other one, but I don't know how to do it otherwise. Okay, so we got all of them done there. The reset time is already in the step, is it? No. Yeah, that is the time to finish. Because the reset is not a time. That's the actual, basically, if it's essentially checking if the joystick has been, if you've let go of it, because it's gonna, go back. Once it goes back to roughly the center or near the center, it's considered a reset. Because if you were to just move it a little bit and move it back, it won't fail you on that. But if you let go, if you go all the way left but don't do the curve and you just let go and you just go back to the center, that's what's essentially triggering it. Okay, so again, we can adapt it a bit better after. Okay, so how to run the loop to get all of this done. So we got the can check rotation as well. Unless we just do 2 here, then 2 here. No, that don't look very good. See what else you said. So what's the best way to loop through it? So if I was to just do a loop here for, see what you put. For, you just did an auto, that's cool. Auto, and what is it? It's a step in the left. Yeah, I've got that. I'm getting that, you know, thing, you know, that we just got to loop over it now. I'm just a bit confused about that, how we're gonna do that, but that's fine. What I'm just gonna do is just do like a C out for now, make sure, you know, we're getting everything that we want to get. So if I do step dot dot first, so we should be first, second. That should be an X. I'm just gonna give this a run. Obviously I can't run it yet because we're getting errors, but let me just comment out this bit of code and then give it a run. Constantly running, but those values look good to me. Okay, so if we loop through it, we'll get each one of them. We need to check if not rotation. Let me see what happens if I was to put this in here. Else, I might literally just doing that. Why am I doing that? If can check rotation, it's either true or false. So that's redundant code right there. Surprised me, you, or Nick didn't pick that up. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is basically like this. Step 1. What are you saying? I don't need the can check rotation anymore? Is that what you're saying? Well, let's have a look then. Let's have a look. So let's have if that's what you're saying, I don't need this anymore. Let's have a look and say if, actually I can just copy and paste this. If this, but instead, obviously it's not dynamic based on the joystick and the actual analog stick itself, but we haven't even abstracted that stuff out yet, but we will be abstracting that out. So instead of that, that is going to be step dot first. It's only the first at the moment. Copy that, paste it here. Y, and this is going to be second. Dot time to finish, and I'm going to say clock dot reset. And only I'm going to guess that only if this is successful would we continue, because so we can just break out of this, I guess. Otherwise we would just continue like this. I'm gonna say else if like this is moving equals false. That's also a reset as well. We don't need to break out of here. And we're gonna say left clockwise dot reset dot first. It is just the first one we need for now. Imagine if that actually worked. I don't know if it is going to, but let's just see if it does. And we'll say we also want to check if he's on the last one. We also want to check if, I guess, if we're on the, and that's here on these two we do X and the Y check. But we do the X and the Y, we only do X and Y on these. On these we do 2 Y checks. Let's see. Unless we basically give a range, because this has to be, yes, this is being awkward because I've got unless I just do a range of, because it was existingly while it's less than -50, so while you're moving left. Is it not initialized? I thought we initialized it here. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna go throw this away, wash the screen up, and then I'm back. Okay, I'm back. So is there any new comments? Alright, init to 0, 0 in the struct. I don't see how that would solve the problem we're getting. If we just want to do a simple, unless in each step itself we state could do, but then are you saying having an extra one? Unless we do this, we have some sort of flag in here to state if both values are being used, if it's a range, or if it's just one value is being used and which direction as well. Let's try that. Bool x single direction single value, say single value. Saying that, we can check if there's a single value based on if they're the same. Like we can do that. So now let's just check is bool x left, bool x direction, bool y direction, and let's put an enum here. So actually I'm going to put that as, yeah, enum oh, yeah, true. So if we got a negative value, so if we got a negative value, it doesn't necessarily mean we're moving left. We might be moving right from a greater negative value before, unless we're checking the thing from before. Because if we think a little bit, ahead, I think we might have gestures that are a bit more complex than that. It might be, it might be. You could, obviously, a day we're gonna be, doing that little check, but you never know. It might be like, could be. Direction, left, right, up, down. So this is going to be direction, boom, done. So we're gonna say in each gesture step, so in this particular one, we're going to have the direction, and this is going to be direction. We are actually going left here, and we need to have a direction for none. Direction, none. Let's say none. Yeah, because just saying negative isn't enough. So this technically is going, this is going right, and this is going up. It's the same thing with this, it's going right and up. So copy that, paste that there, there we go. Okay, so what we got in here, we should be able to do the check on the direction now. So if it's a directional thing, we just want to do, obviously it allows us to do less than or greater than, if it's left or right. And if it's up, it's less than. If it's down, it's greater than. So that's another one that we can check. So we're going to say Ooh. Ooh, Ooh, okay, so how do we do this? I was gonna say, should we try and, it might be possible, I'm not too sure, store this symbol in some sort of variable, but instead of doing that, let's just store what should be checked on the left, what should be checked on the right, and let's just always do it less than. So, you know, we should do, so let's say, if I say float x left value equals, in this case it is this, float x right value, in this case it is this. That's only if we're doing an actual check itself. If step dot x direction is, if they is equal to direction left, else we're going to say, we're going to do an else if, just in case there was a non one there. And it's basically the same thing but just inversed. And so this is literally just going to be inversed. So I'm just gonna copy this left. Now, how do we actually put that in here? Because we want to make sure that if we're doing an X check, I mean, if we're doing just a simple direction check, then we can easily do that. Or if we're doing a range check as well. Obviously, we can easily substitute that won't work either, because realistically they need to be here. Else x left value. Actually, no, by default we'll just assign it something like 0 and 0. So we're only dealing in this if statement at the moment. Ooh. Okay, so I'm just going to update something in the paint. $13 days. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? How would we distinguish if it's a single direction? Obviously, I know technically we've got that value, the direction, if it is a direction, but then how are we going to do it with the if statements here? Because but then x on, unless if we do this, let's try this. If we say if x die step dot x direction, if that doesn't equal none, if it doesn't equal none, then we are doing a single, direction check. We're basically doing this. And we're going to have some bools. So we're going to say bool x valid equals false, bool y valid equals false, and bool time valid equals false. So we're going to have 3 sets of checks. So if it is not equal to none, then we check in here and we basically say, then what's the check we're going to do? We're going to say if x left value is less than x right value, then we literally are going to say x valid equals true. Okay, so we're going to say else. We're going to say, we're going to basically do something equivalent to this. So I'm going to say if again, we're not even changing the joystick. I'm going to put that in the to do before I forget. Update gesture class for all joysticks. I just basically need to be able to pass in the joystick ID here, and I'll put the pass in joystick ID into the constructor, and then we need to do it, and we also need to do it for all different axes as well. No, all update, not axes, the analog class for all different analog sticks. Again, pass into the constructor. Okay, so we were here and we were saying if that is greater than step dot x min max dot first and it is less than it, then what we're going to say is also x value true. X value true. I'm going to assume that we can do something similar for y now. for y direction, y, if direction is up, y, y, sounds like I'm moaning, y. So get axis position y, so this is down. I'm gonna say y, and we'll do a simple check here. Y. Sound like I'm moaning. They should be capital Y. And Y. Final check we're going to do is this. We'll say time valid. True, and the idea is if x valid and y valid and time valid, then we can basically do this. Okay, so the reset, can we leave that as it is? Even with the reset x and y, technically there is a, well, I know that it's always going to be x for now, so let me just get this working like this, see if it actually works. So technically if we get to, I guess what we want to check is if it's all valid, how do we check that we're at the end of it? Step dot. How do we check that we're at the end of the loop? Oh, of a for loop like that. C++ for auto loop check end. Actually, oh yes, steps is a vector. Indigo, I don't get the question. Okay, steps is a vector, so I'll just do step left clockwise dot steps dot size dot size, but do we have to do a index like up 1 1 up 1 1 or what? Yeah, that's like the old type of loops. Unless I do just go over it like that. Let me see. Int counter equals 0. Okay, so I'm going to comment this code out and see if it'll work. Hi, hello Sony. I'm guessing you're an official Sony representative. For starters, that didn't work because it was detecting it at a point where that wasn't correct. But also, it was messing up for the simple fact that of this, that wasn't messing up, but you know what I mean. See, that just detects if I move left. That's just saying if I'm moving left, then it's detecting it. No, I want to do counter greater than that, sorry. It's not working at all. Let's make sure the clock is being reset. So the clock is, I guess, not always being reset. So that it should only get reset if it's valid anyway. Otherwise, if it's not valid, then it would break. No, I don't see how that would work, because if we're going over every step every single time, they're not always going to be done. But und ha none? I don't know what that is. You'll have to explain. We're talking about some sort of UMD. Yeah, her. I don't see how this would work with what we wanted to do. Unless we was keeping track of where we was after each update step, because obviously when we was doing it this way, we could be completed in there. Even though the update could run 100 more cycles, we could still be doing this check, whereas this is just doing all the checks in each update iteration, in each update loop. I'm going to need to wrap up in a second the stream, but yeah, I don't see. I'll commit the code. So we've got the code committed. Gestures still broken, but heavily changed. I'll commit it. So yeah, I'll be wrapping up the stream now. I'll push to origin. Quick Q&A time. Quick Q&A time. I will be wrapping up the stream shortly. The iteration should only be done if a gesture is triggered at all. Yeah. But even then, you mean that particular iteration or all iterations? Because we could look into, when I do tomorrow's session, splitting it up. No, not splitting it up. Having it so we're keeping track of where we are in the steps. Could do that. Okay, so does anyone have any other? The funny thing is, one second, I'm gonna take a picture of this. On my laptop, your message Herdingens, I don't know how you're seeing it on your end, came up in between, whereas on my computer it came up after. You only need one for loop. You only need one for loop for a gesture. We could add a bool into the gesture struct. Bool is active and then only run the loop if that is set to true. But even then, running the loop in one update pass, one pass of the update method won't suffice. Because it might be 50 or 100, depending on what the frame rate is, iterations of the update loop before the actual next check is valid. But it might not be a reset. You know, you might be moving the analog stick in that period. So that's the issue that, you know, we need to overcome. But like I said, I think potentially do it by keeping track of where we are in the loop. So instead of looping over, not in the loop, where we are over in terms of the iteration. So not looping in there, but just checking where we are. When the gesture is finished, that is set to false and the loop won't run. Yeah, and I don't know if a loop is the best thing then for this. Maybe just going over each vector not one by one manually, but using more of a counter system. Kind of like what I was doing, but like even more. Yeah, I need to wrap up the stream now. So I will see everyone tomorrow. Really appreciate everyone that joined in. Everyone that joined in earlier for the Lego stream as well. Tomorrow I'll be doing 2 streams. I'll be continuing with the Lego Star Wars Sith Art Assembly. That is part 2. It'll be split into 3 parts. So it'll be done on Tuesday. Then we continue with the game engine coding live stream tomorrow as well. Be part 17, gestures part 6. I think this gesture stuff is going to easily get to part 10, but that's fine. We'll look back at it when we're at, part 100 or part 200 or part 300 of the overall series of this game engine coding live stream and think, you know what? Do you remember when we did all those videos on the gestures? Those 10, 15, maybe even 20? We got through it and we got this amazing game engine there. So thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, thanks for spending some time with me on your weekend. Really do appreciate it. I will see everyone tomorrow. Have a good, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, rest of your weekend, depending on where you are. You might have more hours left than me. I've only got like